welcome to my channel. Today's horror story is from a Reddit user. I was working as a night shift orderly in a hospital. The hospital was an old building that was slowly being demolished and replaced with a new wing. This went on for several years. As each section of the old hospital was demolished, the remaining staff had to move their offices and equipment to the new wing. It was common for people to find old medical equipment in the attic of the old hospital. Old X-ray machines, wheelchairs, hospital beds, surgical tools, and the like would frequently be found and taken to the new hospital. It was an interesting place to work, because there were multiple buildings connected together over the years to make one big hospital. At this point, only about 1/3 of the old hospital remained. One evening, a patient died on the floor above us. I was working the night shift alone, as the other orderly called in sick. The patient died of natural causes, and the attending physician pronounced her dead at around 4 a.m. She was an elderly woman who had been in hospice care for weeks. No autopsies were ever performed. The hospital had a strict policy of allowing the family to donate the body to science if they so chose. As we were cleaning out the room after the family had removed her belongings, we found an old wheelchair in the closet. We took it out back to the dumpster. The next morning when I came into work, the wheelchair was gone. I thought maybe one of the nurses took it home, so I asked around. Nobody knew anything about it. I figured it must have been taken by one of the contractors who were demolishing the old hospital, so I didn't think much of it. A few days later, I was getting supplies from the stockroom when I heard a blood-curdling scream. I ran into the hallway to see what happened and saw a nurse standing in the middle of the hall with a wheelchair beside her. She looked as white as a sheet and was shaking like she was having a seizure. I tried to ask her what happened, but she couldn't speak. She just kept screaming for someone to help her. I don't remember exactly what I did, but I called security and then the police. The nurse told them that she was getting supplies from the stockroom when she felt something grab her ankle and drag her. When she turned around, she saw a ghostly old woman in a wheelchair screaming at her. She described it as the devil made flesh. She said the creature dragged her to the wheelchair, and then she blacked out. When the officers went into the stockroom to look for the wheelchair, they found it in the exact spot the nurse had described. But when they brought it out into the hall, they couldn't see anything wrong with it. They searched the hospital for the apparition, but never did they find any sign of it. After the nurse calmed down, she said she wanted to go home for the night. Security walked her to the elevator and then left. A few minutes later, the elevators went out. Security had to walk back up 12 floors to let her out. This whole incident really shook the staff. Rumors started spreading about how the hospital was haunted. Some people started seeing the ghost of the woman in the wheelchair. Others started hearing disembodied screams and moans in the middle of the night. The next day, maintenance came to fix the elevator. The manager told the staff not to worry, that it was probably just a power surge. Yet no one used the elevator that night. And every night after that, the old hospital wing was closed off, and the staff stayed in the new wing until the elevator was fixed. I had to work alone for the next couple of nights. And as you can imagine, it was pretty scary. My job is already stressful when you're working alone. You're responsible for getting every patient in and out of bed, turning them, taking their vitals, answering call lights, passing meds, etc. When you add ghosts to the mix, it makes it even more difficult. One night, while I was charting on a computer in the hall, I could have sworn I heard chains dragging metal moans. I tried to convince myself it was just the wind, so I went to the window to look outside. There was a raging windstorm going on outside. The sound continued. I thought maybe it was coming from the vents. I pulled on the vent cover to try and take it off. It wouldn't budge. Frustrated, I ripped it off, revealing a gaping hole in the wall behind it. I screamed bloody murder and somehow managed to dial 911 from my cell phone. When the operator answered, I could barely get the words out because I was shaking so hard. I told her I needed the police and that there was a body in the hospital. She asked me where I was, and I told her I was at the old hospital. She transferred me to the police. By the time the police and my supervisor arrived, I had calmed down. I told them what I had seen. They checked everywhere, but they couldn't find any body or even any evidence that there was a body. My supervisor told me I needed to calm down and get back to work. The police said I should probably go home because I was obviously too scared to work. I worked there for another month. Nothing else ever happened. I quit because I was moving to another city. Looking back, I think that place was haunted. Maybe it still is. That was our haunted hospital horror story. Did you enjoy it? If so, please stay tuned for more stories like these. Bye.